Donald Trump got there, one of the first questions that came his direction was about the E. Jean Carroll trial. You're kidding. Just a few short days before the town hall took place, Trump got found liable, not for all of the charges. In fact, the biggest claim that E. Jean Carroll brought against Donald Trump for the big R word, she lost that one. Donald Trump won. A couple of the other allegations about abuse and defamation, Trump was found liable for, and he is going to be appealing that, and that has already been filed with the court. So before Donald Trump comments on this, let me give you a quick reveal about what happened with E. Jean Carroll. This is the final order that came out from the court. Final judgment that was entered in on 5/11, 1 page. Judgment signed by the judge, Lewis Kaplan, U.S. District Judge, confirmed by the Deputy Clerk and the Clerk of the Court as follows. Dated May 11, 2023. It is hereby ordered, adjudged, and decreed that after a jury trial before Judge Kaplan, District Judge, Plaintiff Carroll has a judgment, this is the judge speaking, against defendant Donald Trump in the amount of $2 million for injuries, $20,000 in punitives, which again is so laughable. It's like tip money, couch cushion money. The jury didn't even punish him. Should have been 20 million, not 20,000. 1 million for damages other than the reputation repair program, 1.7 million for damages and for the reputation repair program, and 280,000 in punitive damages. That was for the defamation. So as we covered previously, it was more wrong for Trump to defame E. Jean Carroll than it was to grab her by the thing. According to this jury, it was worse. So that's saying something about, I guess, our society. If you say something bad, that's way worse than grabbing them in punitive damages. That's the only logic I can extract from this. $20,000 for the actual abuse, $280,000 for the defamation in terms of punitives. Digressing, that was the final order. Trump and his team have already filed a notice of appeal. Now, let's take a look at this, but it's extremely short. It's 2 pages, and it's just a notice of appeal. And when you have appeals in any courts, you're going to be up against deadlines. First thing you have to do is let them know, hey, we're going to be appealing this. And the second thing you do is actually file your appellate memorandum. Then you start to go through the other procedural things that you have to do, like preserve the record and get official this, that, and the other things, and then assemble your memo, and then actually file the appeal. So this is just notice. It's, hey, this is what's coming. So you comply with the rules, you comply with the deadlines, and then you'll have another bucket of time in which to file everything. So this is not the full appeal, just the notice. Right after the judgment came out, Trump's team turned around, fired this right back. Boom. Notice is hereby given that Donald Trump appeals to the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit from the judgment entered in today, May 11th. Soon as the judgment hit, the appeal layered right on top of it. Awarding Jean Carroll compensatory and punitive damages in the amount of $5 million, appealing the entire verdict. Also, all orders, rulings, decrees, everything we are appealing, all merged into the one final judgment entered by Judge Kaplan. You see signed here by Joe Tacopina, counsel for defendant Donald Trump. So immediate appeal, about what we expected, and we'll start to see the rest of it materialize as it is assembled and compiled. But after the verdict and after the appeal, Trump and E. Jean Carroll's lawyers will submit their filings and we'll see where it goes. But Trump was asked about the verdict in particular. Now, this was one question coming on the CNN Townhall, and here's Trump's response.
Because what's happening is they're doing this for election interference. This woman, I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John Johnson. He was a newscaster, very nice man. She called him an ape. Happens to be African-American. Called him an ape. The judge wouldn't allow us to put that in. Her dog or her cat was named Vagina. The judge wouldn't allow to put that in. All of these things. But with her, they can put in anything. Access, Hollywood.
This was a jury of 9 people.
So when he was speaking at that beginning moment, when he said, I never met her, if you're analyzing that as a factual statement, you're Roberta Kaplan, you're E. Jean Carroll's lawyer, and you're saying, yeah, you did. We've got a photograph of you together. But Trump uses language very loosely. I never met her. We got a photograph taken, right? And that's because he takes thousands of photographs all the time. And a photograph is not the equivalent of a meet. But for other people, like maybe me or you, who don't take thousands of photographs every day, everywhere you go all the time, you kind of take photographs with people you meet, right? I don't just go around randomly taking photographs with strangers who just walk up to me. And I'm sure you don't either. But Trump does. Everywhere he goes, everybody wants a picture. So that is not a meet. For us, it's probably a meet. You go out, you meet somebody, have a coffee. Hey, this is a nice dinner. Well, nice thing. Nice to meet you. We're hiking together. Let's take a photo. But it's a different situation here. But he uses language very loosely, but he still says stuff that is seemingly factually inaccurate, right? He did actually meet her in person. They came to a physical interaction. There is a photo together, and it looks like they might even be talking. But him saying that is not a meet, if I'm Roberta Kaplan, I'm like, oh, perfect. He's just lying again actively. We showed evidence that there is a photo. But then in the next statement, when Trump speaks, he says, we just took a photo. So he's almost acknowledging that. We never met. We just took a photo. And so then he has plausible deniability that when he said the word meet or met, that it had a different definition, which is much more intimate than the definition that maybe society is using. But you can see Trump says stuff like that, and it's very exploitable. You can just latch right onto that. And they're threatening a third lawsuit, and that's going to be the reason why. So let's listen to that just one more time so we can hear it again.
They're doing this for election interference. This woman, I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John Johnson. He was a newscaster, very nice man. She called him an ape. Happens to be African-American.
And that was kept out.
Called him an ape. The judge wouldn't allow us to put that in. Her dog.
We read through the transcript. The judge said it was too prejudicial and not probative enough. It was kept out under Rule 403 because it was too harmful. He said, we have a mixed race jury here on this panel. And if they know that E. Jean Carroll was calling her ex-husband a racial epithet, that would be a big problem for them.
Or her cat was named Vagina. The judge wouldn't allow to put that in. All of these things he would, but with her, they can put in anything. Access Hollywood.
This was a jury of 9 people.
The way he just says every word is just, it's very Trump. Here it is.
Put that in. All of these things he would, but cat was named Vagina. The judge wouldn't allow to put that in. All of these things he would.
It's almost
with
like
her,
China.
They can put in anything.
China.
Access
This
Hollywood.
was a jury of 9 people who found you liable of sexual abuse. Do you think that will deter women from voting for you?
No, I don't think so, because I think the whole thing, just so you understand, ready? I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. This woman said, I met her at the front door of Bergdorf Goodman.
Do you see that? So the language it changes. It's very curious how he does this, and it's hard to pin him down on anything. I never met her. I never saw her. And then in the very next statement, he starts talking about her story, which is not true, right? He's going to be hypothesizing about her story.
Rarely go into it, other than for a couple of charities. I met her in the front door.
See?
She was about 60 years old, and this is like 22, 23 years ago. I met her in the front door of Bergdorf Goodman. I was immediately attracted to her, and she was immediately attracted to me.
And we talking in present tense.
Had this great chemistry. We're walking into a crowded department store. We had this great chemistry, and a few minutes later, we end up in a dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman, right near the cash register. And then she found out there were locks on the door. So she said, I found one that was open. She found one. She learned this at trial. She found one that was open. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes you're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay? I don't know if she was married then or not. John Johnson, I feel sorry for you, John Johnson.
Mr. President, can I?
It's just an amazing answer because it's so ridiculous and dismissive, and he synthesizes the whole thing, which, according to the left, is one of the most egregious, it is one of the most egregious things you can do to another person, is to abuse them in that manner. And they've been screaming about it. Trump did this and all this stuff. We here know what the evidence showed. We know this case is 28 years old. We know there was no hard evidence about any of it. The only witness corroboration in any of this is about phone calls. And even the friends who got the phone calls were nonchalant about it. Lisa went back to making chicken nuggets for her kids, and everybody else just kind of forgot about it, like it's old E. Jean Carroll just being kind of nuts again. And everybody was dismissive of it. So the case, from our perspective, is obviously a joke. We're not here in the business of dunking on victims of abuse crimes, but we're also going to be holding everybody to certain evidentiary standards. And you can't just come out of the woodwork in 2019 after you meet with George Conway, after you're funded by billionaire Reid Hoffman, people who've got vendettas against Donald Trump, concoct an entire scheme of a case, go and prosecute it and execute it, and then turn around and tell us it's supposed to be legitimate, like we're supposed to believe all women. Ridiculous. Don't need to do that at all. So what Donald Trump has done is synthesized all of that into this hanky-panky word. And it's so ridiculous that E. Jean Carroll would go into this, meet him, they'd have this little escapade, run upstairs, and this whole ordeal would go down. And then in the aftermath, there's no consequence until it becomes politically feasible to use it as a cudgel against Trump. And for all the screaming to just put a mirror up and say, no, it's hanky-panky and it's a fake conversation. It's just beautiful. It deflates the whole thing from a persuasive level. In a jury trial, you'd latch onto that as like the theme of your case or something. You call this, it's such a colorful word that it just stands out. And he dismisses the whole thing. The audience is laughing about it. And Caitlin Collins is obviously very agitated. She can't take it. Now, as I mentioned, they are saying that they're going to sue Donald Trump a third time over this, or contemplate it based upon some of those statements. Now, this is also interesting. The entire trial, when we were looking for photographs of E. Jean Carroll, all of her photographs were smiling, smiling, smiling. And we noticed that her hairstyle changed, right? A lot of stuff changed before the trial. She used to have the very short hair, very curly, sort of, buzzed down to the head. When trial started, they wanted to make her look a little bit younger, hide her face, box in her face, cut off the rest of her, head from being reviewed, get the hair nice and orderly, make her look a little bit younger, and hide some of the features. And she was also smiling everywhere she went. They told her, when you come out of the courtroom, smile. When you go into the car, smile. And if you look for it, look around, try to find a trial photo of E. Jean Carroll. I did try to find a different facial expression. Her lawyers had her disciplined, smile, smile, smile. A lot of them with teeth, and a lot of them with, a bigger grin. Now, after the trial is over, we get some nice photographs that are taken, and now she's this, this sort of this regal, non-smiling, little bit more somber, mission accomplished type of a look. So it's just an interesting change that I noticed. Now, the point is, they are contemplating suing Trump a third time after vile comments on CNN. E. Jean Carroll is weighing whether to file a new defamation after what we just heard from Donald Trump, saying that the assault was fake and a made-up story. Her lawyer said this on Thursday. Trump's comments on CNN came one day after the $5 million damages was ordered against him. Carroll said on Thursday morning she had been asleep as Trump talked about her. She said that her lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, sent her a transcript of his comments, and she had only read the first paragraph. So Roberta Kaplan is just like, salivating. Remember, lawyers get a nice chunk. I don't know what her portion of the $5 million fee was, but that's a nice chunk. Trump's got the money. He's a defendant with a lot of deep pockets. And if she's got a plaintiff here that has, some nice claims, man, she can keep milking this cow until it doesn't squirt anymore for her. It's just stupid. It's just disgusting. So she's watching everything from Trump. She's got her researchers and they get the transcript. She's like, oh, perfect. We got another claim here. Let's sue for another $5 million. She says, it's just stupid. Ms. Carroll said in an interview, it's just disgusting, vile, foul, it wounds people. So build up those damages, baby, puff those up. Ms. Carroll said she had been infuriated when her longtime stylist told her that her 15-year-old son was talking about what Trump said. Damages just abounding again. In addition to the case that ended on Tuesday, Ms. Carroll has an earlier defamation suit that is still pending. On Thursday, Kaplan said no decision about whether the new defamation suit would be filed. Everything's on the table, she said. We have to give serious consideration to it. We have to weigh the various pros and cons, and we'll come to a decision in the next day or so, probably. They're going to sue him again. Trump, in response to questions from the CNN moderator, called Ms. Carroll a whack job, said that the civil trial was a rigged deal. His comments drew laughter, and he mocked her story. He says, what kind of woman meets somebody and brings them up within minutes? You're playing hanky-panky in the dressing room, Trump said. It's a good question. Yeah, who does that? Who does anything that E. Jean Carroll did? Who gets attacked and arred by Donald Trump and then watches his show, The Apprentice, and makes jokes about being somebody who sleeps with Trump for $17,000 on her Facebook account? What is all of that about? Maybe it's just a woman who is riding an effort that's been assembled for a whole slew of other reasons to take out a political enemy of the Democrats. And so that is exactly what is happening. We'll see if they sue Trump again, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do.